Good evening, Gills fans. Welcome back to Gills in the Blood TV. It is Monday review time, and after last week's disappointing review of that horrible home defeat at the hands of AFC Wimbledon, I'm back this evening with all positivity again. I was one of the 473 that made the trek all the way north to the Stadium of Light on Saturday to watch us play out a very entertaining 2-2 draw, which earned us a point, which was probably the very least we deserved. But like I say, I was one of the 473, proud to be one of them. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is Steve Evans tonight, praising us for making the trek all the way up to Sunderland. He called us incredible. He said that we were in full voice and we were dominant side at 1-1. And the roles had reversed in terms of the game situation. We was on the front foot. Sunderland were playing like an away side, counter-attacking. He said our supporters must have been devastated to see the second goal go in from absolutely nowhere. But he then goes on to say the fans certainly found their voice with the second goal went in for us. Yes, indeed. Myself and Boz and probably all 400 from our vantage point, pretty much in the sky, in the top tier of that stand. Were right behind Mikael Mandron's left-footed effort that flew into the bottom corner in the 96th minute. And like I say, earned us a well-deserved point. It was the very least we deserved, in my opinion. It's an excellent reaction to the poor home display against the Wombles last weekend. And I know I spoke at the time about the antics of the away side, but maybe with the benefit of a few more days, hindsight, we just have to accept that we got done by a plan that they carried out to perfection. We've gone and done it to teams when we're on the road this season. Sunderland at the weekend, Posh, Ipswich, Fleetwood. We've gone to sides that are probably better than us, probably have got better players than us, have definitely got bigger budgets than us. But what we lack in terms of squad numbers and technical ability, we more than make up for in hunger, desire, togetherness, willingness to run through brick walls for each other, willingness to play for the shirt, willingness to put bodies and heads on the line all the time. And yeah, it was just a really, really good away display at the weekend. I think we only had 38% of the ball, which is understandable. You're going to the Stadium of Light, Sunderland, big crowd, big budget. You're not going to see loads of it. When you have it, you have to use it properly. And I thought we did. I thought we created plenty of chances. We started off really bright. First 2 minutes, Stuart O'Keefe pressed really high, which was brave because we started off 4-4-2, which meant if he went and pushed and we got caught and they played through us, then we only had Alfie Jones as a protector of the back four. But Alfie was spot on, I thought, throughout the game. I mentioned this on the Match Day Live. He was clever with how he stationed himself and how he positioned himself. He was very rarely caught out. And he just mopped up and he let those other forward-thinking players go and do their bit the other way. And yeah, despite only having 38% of the ball, we had more shots in total. We had 14 to the Mackems 13. Same amount on target, 6 each. I think the corner count was 9 to them and 6 to us, so wasn't that far behind, which is by no means a disaster. Only 3 less when you're the away side. And I only recall Jack Bonham making one real save. That was first half when I think the ball got clipped into our box. And I said at the time I thought it was Chris Maguire, but it might have been Lyndon Gooch, who sat one of our centre-backs down on his backside. But Jack Bonham got out quickly, stood tall, and the ball hit him in the chest, and he able to smother the rebound. I think the only other one that he was involved in was second period, I think, where Luke O'Nien got to the byline and drilled it across the 6-yard box. And I think it may be a mixture of their striker and one of our centre-backs again, and it stopped in the middle of the 6-yard box, and we thought for all the world that a Sunderland player was just going to slap it into an empty net. But credit Jack, he reacted and turned around and fell on it, and danger was gone. But yeah, but at the other end, if you think about John McLaughlin, the Sunderland stopper, he's made a save that you'd expect him to make first half from Jordan Roberts, left-footed drive from about 25 yards out. He's got that out to a safe area. But then he's made 3 saves that are better. He's come out and smothered a Brandon Hanlon left-footed shot when he'd escaped their back 3 and got him behind. Next one from Mikael Mandron's probably the pick of the bunch. Mika does really well inside the box, controls it, brings it under control, drops a shoulder and gets it onto his right stick. And it looks for all the world on the highlights that the effort's going to curl into the top corner and give us the lead. But McLaughlin flings out an arm and manages to get it round a post for a corner. And then I think at 1-1, just after we'd equalised for the first time, Jack Tucker, similarly to late on against Wimbledon last week, peels off at the far post, gets himself free, does all he can, hits the target. McLaughlin stands big, flings out an arm or a chest or a shoulder and manages to make a stop. And that was 4 really good saves from the Sunderland custodian that ultimately earned them a point, I think. And you can look at the possession and the bits where they got him behind and say that they've probably had more territory. Again, that's understandable, they're the home side, but I think we had the better clear-cut chances. Aside from his 2 goals, Cole Laffit I thought was decent for them. Got better as the game went on. I thought he was a bit static first half. Didn't give our centre-halves enough to do from a Sunderland point of view, which was great. But his movement second half was really good. There's a case that he's maybe a yard offside for the second goal, but the flag doesn't go up, and then he does what he's done all his career at this level or even above. Gets one-on-one, puts Jack Bonham down with the eyes and slots it underneath him to put them in front, and for all the world it looked like they were going to go on and win the game. But like I say, this team never knows when it's beaten. Togetherness, desire and hunger to just keep going and keep going is unbelievable, and I think we got our just rewards when Ollie Lee shows incredible composure. And I think Steve Evans alluded to it after the game in his interview and said that it's probably only Ollie Lee that can show that composure at that stage to bring it under control in a tight space and set it perfectly for Mika, who has 1 touch out of his feet. And then, like I say, as soon as it left his foot, we knew it was going in the bottom corner. There was bedlam in the away end. Thanks to the Gills photography team, who then waited a couple of minutes for me to look at my phone to then put a photo up. So it looks like I'm just standing there texting. Believe me, I wasn't. You can check my Instagram page. You can check the match day live for the reaction. I went as mental as the other 472 people in that away end, and it was great because it capped a really good day out. It was a ground that myself and Boz had never been to. It was one that we wanted to tick off, and we weren't disappointed. The facilities are first class. The stadium's huge, absolutely immaculate. The playing surface looked like a carpet from where we are up in the top tier, and everything about them is Premier League aside from the team, unfortunately, and that's the most important thing. But I'm sure that they'll get back in the Championship sooner rather than later, and if they go up this season, then we can say, yep, we've ticked off the stadium of light as a ground that we wanted to visit and have managed to visit, because it is a really, 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 really superb arena. And yeah, there's not loads of teams that have gone there and picked up points in recent weeks or recent months. I think they'd won 8 of their previous 9 at home before then and have been pretty much flawless. But like Wimbledon seemed to be for us, we seem to beat them a bogey side. That's 4 times they played us this season. Drew 1-1 up there in the cup. We then beat them 1-0 in a replay at the Priestfield. We then beat them by the same scoreline in the league, and then we've taken a draw off them yesterday. 3rd really late goal as well to break their hearts. I think Brandon Hanlon's was last minute of the first period of extra time in the cup tie. I think Conor Ogilvy's was 89th or 90th minute in the league, and then Mikael Mandron's left it even later and gone 96, 97 just to really rub salt into a wound. In terms of our playoff bid, well, we'll get onto that in a minute, but let's just have a look inside Monday's Medway Messenger quickly. Final paragraph of Luke Cordell's report, which we like to do. Gillingham can't be written off in any game. They've got a habit of scoring late on, and maybe their playoff chances shouldn't be written off just yet either. Perhaps they could still just make a late charge. It's getting harder, not because we're not playing well, aside from the Wimbledon game, which might ultimately end up costly, but because we're running out of games. That's the trouble. The gap's 8 points, there's 9 to play. We've got to find a point a game pretty much, and there's a lot of teams above us that are already in that top 6 that are still playing as well, if not better than us. But we've still got it in our hands because we've still got to play Fleetwood. We've still got to play Rotherham. We've still got to play Coventry. We've still got to play Wickham. And 4 of our last 6 will be at the Priestfield, where we've generally been very strong. We've won the majority of our games there. Yeah, I think 9 of our 12 victories in League One this season have come at home. So that's a positive. We might have to go to MK Dons and win. We're certainly probably going to have to beat Fleetwood this coming Saturday, but we'll get onto that later in the week. In terms of match ratings, just a comparison, Jack Bonham, Luke and ourselves gave 6. Barry Fuller the same, both got a 6. Luke was more generous with Max Omer and Jack Tucker. He gave them a 7 each. We gave a pair of 6.5s, but then we were slightly more generous with Conor Ogilvy. Luke gave him a 6 and we said 6.5 for Conor. In terms of a midfield 4, Jordan Graham got a 6 off Luke. We said 6.5. Stuart O'Keefe 6, we said 6.5. We agreed on Alfie Jones 7, pick of the bunch in the middle, thought he was really good. Jordan Roberts, Luke gave a 6, we gave 6.5. The front pair, Brandon Hanlon a 6 and Mikael Mandron an 8 from Luke, and we gave Brandon a 6.5 and Mika an 8.5, so just a little bit higher. In terms of the subs, we agreed Ollie Lee a 7, Tom O'Connor a 6, we gave John Akindi a 6, and Luke was slightly more generous with a 7. But in our defence at the time, we didn't realise that John had won the initial flick on for the second leveller. So maybe if we'd known that as we were coming out the ground and doing the match ratings, we'd have probably upped him by another half a point. But yeah, a really, really good team performance, a really good day out at a really good ground. Particular highlight for me was I think they must have been some Newcastle fans, and it was all tongue-in-cheek that were in our end after the game and singing various Sunderland related songs. Nothing obscene, nothing derogatory, just having a bit of a laugh and a bit of banter. And myself and Boz were trying to go to the toilet and laughing our heads off, which was a bit weird. But yeah, so that was a little side note to the afternoon. In terms of the playoffs, is it still on? It is. It's still mathematically possible. We've still got 9 games to play, which is 27 points. If you win all them, that would take us to 78. That'd definitely be enough. Steve Evans said at the question and answer session 2 games ago he wanted 75. I think that'd definitely be enough. Is that attainable? I'm not sure. I still don't think 75 would be the minimum. I think we could maybe get in on 71 or 72, but it still means probably winning 6 of our last 9 and not losing the other 3. So that's the task ahead of us. But if we don't get in, it won't detract from what's been a really good season. 51 points already. You'd imagine we'll add quite a bit onto that before the season ends, barring an absolute disaster. But before we go tonight, one man I do want to talk about in more detail is this man coming up on your screen now. That's 2-goal hero Mikael Mandron, former Sunderland youth product, released in 2016, I believe. Never really given a chance there. Did make a Premier League appearance, I think, but was allowed to leave 3 or 4 years ago. And Mika spoke very highly of Sunderland after the game. In fact, the headline in the Medway Messenger is "Mandron enjoyed his return." He goes on to say, "It felt good and happy to get the goal," said the Frenchman who moved to England to join the academy at Sunderland. "It always feels good to go back and play in the stadium, but I'm disappointed we couldn't get the win. I love playing there. I've played many games in the stadium, whether it is for the under-23s or the first team. I always love going back, and you always want to do well against your old team. We have done all right in the 4 games we have played against them." We certainly have as a collective, and individually Mikael Mandron was pretty much unplayable Saturday for the main part. Comfortably his best display in a Gillingham shirt for me. Let me know if you agree, Gills fans. Took him up to 6 for the season in all competitions, so I did a little bit of digging today during my lunch hour, and statistically very good at the weekend. 90 minutes played, he won 11 aerial duels, scored 2 goals, provided a key pass, had 3 shots on target, had 1 blocked as well. So he was in amongst it all the time. He was constantly causing them a problem. He was playing well with his back to goal. If it hit him on the chest, it was sticking. He was bringing it under control, getting others involved, trying to release the likes of Jordan Graham and Jordan Roberts from wide areas. He linked up pretty well with Brandon Hanlon. But when he gets moving himself, he doesn't lack pace. He's comfortable with the ball at his feet. I think the chance he created for himself second half that brought out the best of John McLaughlin speaks volumes. On another day, that goes in the top corner and he ends up with a hat-trick and we maybe win the game. But it wasn't to be, but doesn't take away from Mika's performance. Absolutely spot on. And interestingly now, looking at his 6 goals, they've come once every 258 minutes this season. I think he's played about 1,350 minutes in total. A lot of them from the bench. But the interesting thing is when he does start, he tends to get pretty much the whole game. But yeah, goal every 258 minutes, or if you want to look at it another way, it's a goal every 2.86 games. If we recalculate over that 46 game campaign, if he played a full season, it'd be 16 goals in the league. Not a bad return at all. Knows he needs to add consistency to his game. I think Steve Evans has spoken about that. If we just revert back to the back page of the Medway Messenger, more Mandron magic. Gills boss Evans wants striker to repeat feat. Gillingham boss Steve Evans has challenged star man Mikael Mandron to repeat his weekend heroics again. "I'm pleased for him, and as a kid," said Gills manager Evans. "He would have gone home happy, but he has to do it against other teams, not just Sunderland. It must be easy to do it at Sunderland. You embrace it. He was heartbroken when he left the club, and when we drew them in the FA Cup earlier in the season, it was like he had won the lottery. It was an easy decision to start him. I've been there as a kid. You are heartbroken when a football club passes you on and lets you go. They do it for the right reasons, but it doesn't stop you wanting to go back and wanting to score a goal or do something. Well, I think he certainly proved a point at the weekend. Absolutely immaculate. Didn't shirk his defensive duties as well. Can recall him tracking back to the halfway line and beyond on a few occasions. And if we can get that sort of performance out of him between now and the end of the season, chances are he could keep Big John Akinde out the side for the rest of the campaign. And that'd be slightly interesting because obviously Big John came in and we had high hopes for him to maybe fire us towards the top 6. It hasn't quite worked out for John, and we know he's not fully match fit, and we'll probably see the best of him next season. I've said that already, and I think the coaching staff have mentioned that as well. But back to Mika, really good performance. If we can get him doing that on a regular basis, we've got a very decent League One footballer on our hand. Right, that is enough from me this evening. She'll be back Thursday for a match preview, looking ahead to another massive game as we host Joey Barton's Cod Army Fleetwood at the weekend. And then myself and Boz and hopefully Stocky will be there Saturday for another match day live. Huge game. I think we have to win it if we want to harbour any more hopes of trying to gate crash the top 6. So it'll be another huge weekend. But until then, enjoy your Monday night, enjoy the rest of your week. And until next time, up the Gills.